The spotlight once made James Corden a star.
Welcome to the Late Late Show, everybody.
Now it's exposing everything he tried to keep behind the curtain.
I've decided to sign for one more year on the show, and that this will be my last year hosting the Late Late Show.
But things have gotten even worse in recent days because the backlash just won't stop.
Every night it felt like there's people in, and every night no one would come back. Nobody would come and say hello.
So what's really going on? When James Corden returned to the UK in 2023, it was meant to be a fresh start. He'd wrapped up the Late Late Show, said goodbye to Hollywood, and bought an £8 million countryside estate in the quiet, wealthy enclave near Henley-on-Thames. Locals thought they were getting a high-profile neighbor. What they got instead was a half-finished construction site and growing resentment. The property, Templecombe House, was supposed to become Corden's forever home. An art-deco shell from the 1960s torn down and rebuilt into a sprawling modern mansion for his wife Julia and their 3 children. But after winning planning approval in 2023, the transformation stalled. Months passed, and aerial photos revealed almost no progress. No demolition, no structure, just silence. However, that silence didn't sit well with the neighbors. As whispers of Corden returning to the US for a Broadway role spread, locals began speaking out. Some accused him of abandoning the property. Others saw it as selfish hoarding, a beautiful lot left untouched while housing demand in the area soared. Jane Worrell, a local landlady, told the News he should live in it or sell it. It's shameful. He should be ashamed. Another neighbor called the whole thing a disgrace, saying the place had become nothing more than a statement of wealth and waste. One local added, he created a huge fuss about the plans. Now he's just leaving? It wasn't just the halted project that bothered people, it was the attitude. And this was supposed to be the redemption chapter. After years of backlash in America, Corden had painted his UK return as a homecoming. Instead, it felt to many like more of the same. Entitlement, followed by absence. But the Henley mansion was just the beginning, because James Corden's problems didn't stay tucked away in the countryside. One of the earliest cracks in James Corden's public image came long before Balthazar, long before late-night fame, on a stage where respect is usually the default. At the 2010 Glamour Women of the Year Awards, Corden was hosting. Patrick Stewart, a revered actor known for his calm gravitas, was there to present an award. But what unfolded on stage wasn't scripted and it wasn't flattering. Stewart suddenly turned toward Corden and took aim. He criticized Corden for slouching and having his hands in his pockets. Then he went further, accusing Corden of being visibly bored and disrespectful during other presenters' speeches.
When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets.
The audience laughed nervously, unsure whether it was part of the act. It wasn't. Corden fired back, mocking Stewart's age and slowing delivery.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, sir. You couldn't be more wrong. Oh, genuinely. And if it looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up and present an award, just get on with it. There we go.
The tension grew. Stewart took another jab.
From where I was sitting, I can see your belly.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the punchline. Go on. No, seriously, go on.
Okay.
No, go on. You can see my belly, and we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we go.
By the end of the exchange, neither looked good. But for Corden, the damage lingered. The moment lived on in clips and commentary. An early sign that behind the charm there was a sharp edge that didn't take criticism well. In 2024, Corden and his family were on board a BA flight, returning from the Algarve to London when things went sideways. Due to a malfunction with the aircraft's flaps, the pilot made an emergency descent into Lisbon. Passengers were told to assume the brace position. Panic swept the cabin. For hours, they sat on the tarmac with no food, no water, and no answers. Then came the headlines. James Corden yells at airport staff.
The police are saying it's too...
James Corden confronted airport staff after his flight was forced to make an emergency landing.
Photos of Corden confronting airline employees flooded social media, and the backlash reignited instantly. People saw it as another classic Corden tantrum. More diva behavior from the TV host who'd already developed a reputation for public blow-ups. And even though passengers vouched for him, the photos told a different story. A scowling celebrity yelling across a crowded terminal. Just more fuel for the Corden backlash. Because in the public eye, once you're branded difficult, it doesn't take much to confirm the narrative. That wasn't the first time James Corden's behavior sparked outrage, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. Keith McNally, the outspoken owner of the iconic Balthazar restaurant, posted a scathing Instagram message that instantly went viral. James Corden is a hugely gifted comedian, but a tiny cretin of a man, and the most abusive customer to my Balthazar servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago. Corden allegedly berated staff after finding a hair in his food and later exploded over a minor omelet error. According to McNally, the Late Late Show host demanded free drinks, raised his voice, and publicly humiliated the team. The outcome was swift and very public. Corden was banned from Balthazar immediately. Corden later apologized, first privately then publicly on his show. He admitted to making a snide comment but insisted he never shouted.
Well, that isn't true. I remember leaving. I left a perfectly good tip. I left, yeah, I did. I left $10.
Still, the damage was done. The story confirmed a growing suspicion that the friendly TV personality was a very different man when the cameras stopped rolling. And McNally wasn't the only one saying it. In late 2022, James Corden found himself entangled in an accusation no comedian wants, attached to their name: joke theft. During an episode of The Late Late Show, Corden performed a monologue that included a bit about town square flyers and outrage culture. But viewers immediately recognized it, not as original material, but as a near word-for-word copy of a 2018 stand-up routine from Ricky Gervais's Netflix special Humanity. Within hours, Gervais himself weighed in. He reposted the clip and called out the duplication, noting how closely Corden's version mirrored his own. While Gervais later deleted the tweet, claiming he felt sorry for Corden, the damage was already done. The backlash was swift. Fans accused Corden of stealing material and passing it off as his own. Critics began to compile other instances where Corden's jokes resembled existing bits from other comics. Even comedians outside the feud took notice, framing it as another example of lazy showmanship hidden behind polished delivery. Corden's team attempted to smooth things over, claiming the joke had been unintentionally included in the script by a staff writer. But the apology rang hollow to many. For a performer already fighting off accusations of being fake or manufactured, the scandal reinforced the perception that Corden was more copy than creator. And Gervais' silence after his initial jab only deepened the wound. Because in the comedy world, joke theft isn't just unprofessional, it's unforgivable. For years, James Corden's public persona thrived on affability, the nice guy of late night, a self-deprecating Brit with musical charm and viral sketches. But behind the scenes, cracks in that image had been forming long before his final bow on The Late Late Show. Reports of mistreatment on set had circulated quietly for years. Former staffers, though rarely named, spoke of a toxic work environment, citing a culture where shouting matches, passive aggression, and sudden mood swings weren't uncommon. One former crew member reportedly described the vibe as walking on eggshells, especially when things didn't go according to Corden's expectations. Writers claimed that feedback often came in the form of sarcasm or dismissiveness, with some projects allegedly scrapped if Corden didn't feel like they were funny enough to him. Multiple insiders alleged that the show's environment became increasingly difficult after Corden's fame surged and his schedule became more demanding. He was no longer just a late-night host. He was juggling movies, award shows, musicals, and branding deals. And the higher his profile climbed, the more his attitude reportedly shifted. There were also whispers of inflated ego. Anecdotes surfaced about name-dropping at rehearsals, or how junior writers were allegedly discouraged from pitching ideas directly to Corden without going through a chain of approval. One former producer recalled how praise always had to be carefully framed, not too critical, not too casual, and definitely not too clever. And then came the ending. In April 2023, Corden announced he would leave The Late Late Show. The messaging was upbeat. He wanted to return to London, be with his family, focus on other projects. But the media wasn't convinced. The ratings had slipped. The viral momentum had slowed, and in an increasingly competitive landscape, many wondered if Corden saw the writing on the wall. Some speculated that CBS was quietly relieved. A once bankable personality now carried reputational baggage, controversies, call-outs, and an internet audience that had turned on him. When the show aired its final episode in April 2023, it ended not with a bang, but with a complicated legacy. What began as a groundbreaking viral hit had become a case study in overexposure, and in how public warmth can cool very quickly. The nice guy routine had worn thin, and by the time the curtain closed, even longtime fans weren't sure how much of the persona had ever been real.